Hello, everyone. I am Tacit. Oh gosh, I have like no voice left from earlier today. Welcome to the Tower of Doom, week 36, day 5. Okay, apparently I'm not going to be talking too much. I just started talking again since then, and I just now realize how little voice I have left. Too much voicing of various dialogue. But anyways, obviously today we're doing Bounty Hunter. We got Bounty Hunter event, pretty much the only thing going on in Gems of War this weekend. So that is what we shall be doing. As far as where we currently are, we haven't even started yet. Though we already finished off Tower of Doom and everything else, so pretty much good to go in that regard. So the other event we have going on all week is, for Gems of War, is good old Bounty. So, of course, we got Big Bird. Unfortunately, Big Bird doesn't do anything. It deals some damage to the first enemy, and then there's a 20% chance to deal half that to all enemies below, or basically every other enemy. If this was a higher percent chance, it'd probably be viable. It's basically just a percent chance to just full AoE damage, essentially. And that's not particularly good. 20% is not high for a basic AoE attack. Otherwise, it's just a single poke attack. There's nothing special about it. You're pretty much just using it this week for bounty points and never touching it again. As is pretty much every bounty captain in recent time, because all you need is Ogress, Tigraki, and Corpse Mirror or some other true damage or whatever we want to run. And that's exactly what we shall be doing. Same team we mentioned on the Monday video, just obviously with the good old Axe Beak as the bounty captain for this time around. Basically, we're going to buy up to tier 5, make sure to upgrade it to legendary, use a blue orb on it to get to mythic, and do all of our sigils, and then we'll have everything from there. And what's nice about that too is we get all of the little things by then. We get the portrait, we get the little emojis thingies, so we don't have to buy them later. So that actually works out quite conveniently. Also, we covered that video earlier, so I can actually go finally delete these teams. I can just actually do it over the bounty team, so actually I don't even need to delete any teams yet. Because all we got to do is go find Beakface, or whatever it's called. No, it's called Axe-Beak. Wait, they didn't name it Beakface. They should have totally named it Beakface. That would have been so perfect. Anyways, let's go upgrade this guy. Remember to ascend it first, otherwise you're wasting a blue orb. So make sure to do that. But you're wasting 2 blue orbs now that I think about it if you accidentally do it immediately. So now we can go blue orbit. And the one way to always check is on this screen right here. It's just see legendary and orange text to mythic and blue text. If there's anything that isn't that, you haven't upgraded yet. But there we go. Might upgrade that. And get them leveled, because I always forget to do that. Because for whatever reason, it's on a completely different menu, and I don't understand why they do that. But they do. And there we go. Okay. And yeah, we're good to go. We don't need to change a single thing. That's simply our bounty captain team. I'm not sure why I'm copying it. We don't need to copy it for anything. I keep thinking like, oh, we need to go copy paste it into the battle thing. But if I'm not mistaken, it just sets your default things, right? Or do we actually have to copy it in? No, it's already there. I don't need to copy anything over. Oh, wait, no, I do. Never mind. That's the Volpacia one. Wait. I do need to copy it in. Never mind. Ah, we did it for once instead of just copying it for no reason. There we go. All right, so that'll be the team. Ogress, Tigraki, Warrior, Corpse Mirror, Axe-Beak. You know you have it all good to go, and you have a 30 times multiplier. Now it's just a matter of winning of them all, and that's what we shall do now. Or proceed to do. We're not going to do every battle tonight, but we are going to do a good number of our bounty hunter tonight. Definitely at least halfway, if nothing else. Get like a 125 or so, or even 120. Technically, halfway is almost like 120-ish, 110-ish, because you start getting the bigger amount of points at the later end. Even though 250 is the target goal. But at the end, you're starting to get 6,000 per thing, so it starts to speed up quite a bit. Assuming the final battle isn't anything too annoying. Sometimes it is, but you can always do the one below it if it happens to be on a given week. But anyways, hello everyone. Hope all you guys been having a wonderful weekend. Finally the weekend, by the way. Hello Isabel. Hello Insane Gamer. Hello Logic Slayer. Hello Defiant. Hello Bill. Hello Joyful Dragonfly. Hello Bert. Hello Insane Gamer. Gosh, I might not even stream the other thing tomorrow. Wait until Sunday. I have like no voice left. Hello Cookie. Hello Logic Slayer. That's the problem with playing like any game for a very long duration that has any amount of text. This always ends up happening. How was Mega Man? It was a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll be streaming it tomorrow. How much voice we'll have left is within question, but we should be finishing out the game tomorrow as well. You didn't miss too many story beats yet. There was one pretty big story beat, but it was also, oh no. Like, that's trying to describe it without spoiling it, but there was definitely a story beat that happened. That was relatively relevant. But for the most part, you can understand what's going on without knowing anything with the story. It's mostly a game for the gameplay. Not necessarily playing it for the storyline, that is for sure. This is a very gameplay-heavy game. Also, let me go move this over. Why is this, like, all the way over here? It's because of the Mega Man stream we did earlier. It's in such a weird position now because I had it somewhere completely different for the other stream. There we go. Okay, I think I fixed it now. But I'll be streaming it again tomorrow, and we should be able to finish the third game. And yes, we started with the third. It'll make sense later why we did. But we did start with the third. And we should be able to finish it tomorrow. And after that, I think we'll start continuing it from the 4th on next Tuesday. And go from there. Hey, wasn't there another game coming out soon after that? Oh yeah, gosh, there's a week coming out with Darkest Dungeon 2 and Tears of the Kingdom are both coming out the same week. Gosh. I'm not sure when we're going to fit in the entire Mega Man series, though I do want to over the next couple months. At least we'll have the third one done in 2 days. However, I'm not sure exactly the length of all of them. I know the third one, oddly enough, actually is among one of the shorter games. With a playtime of about 20 minutes or so. If I had to guess, the 5th one will probably take more time than 2 games combined. Because I do recall a feature from that game taking absolutely forever to play out. It was a lot of fun. But gosh, does it elongate the campaign of the game. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like a 50-hour campaign compared to the average one being like 20 or 30 hours. Just because the game mode takes so long. Not because the story's any longer, necessarily. Just simply because some of the gameplay in it is substantially longer. Also, am I even moving up in floor? Have I accidentally been clicking the same floor? Why does this look like such weak enemies? I know we're at the earlier range, but gosh. Like, no stats. I've yet to accidentally do that. I eventually will, probably at some point, but I've never, when progressing through the Bounty Hunter event, ever re-click on the same room. Or maybe I have, like, once ever. I know for sure for Guild War we have never accidentally done the wrong color. But I think for Bounty Hunter, we've never re-clicked the same room. Actually, yeah, we definitely have a couple times, actually, now that I think about it. But it was very rare. It was mostly in the past. It's pretty easy to do so. I'm actually surprised we haven't done it more often. The good old misclick. It's not too big a deal if you do. It does if you're going for a leaderboard. Like, that matters a lot. You might as well stop even trying for a leaderboard at that point. However, otherwise, it's pretty irrelevant if you do or not. If you're just trying to go for all rewards, misclicking a room a couple times, there's pretty much nothing other than delay you, like, a fight or two. Which for leaderboard means you're just not making a leaderboard, but for getting all rewards means, just gonna have to do another fight or two. Barely does anything. You'll probably just get the battle for free by Sunday anyways. Because Tier 5 actually has a lot of leeway. If you go Tier 4, you have very little leeway. By Tier 5, I think you have like a 6 to 10 battle leeway or something. As far as like how many you could lose or something. Or in the case of Val Ravens, like you lose like 3 or 4 Val Ravens. It has so much leniency on it. Oh gosh. I need to let the throat rest. Too much talking. We need to talk less next stream. When we do the other Mega Man one. I think the problem is attempting to do any voice that isn't my own. I'm just having to talk so much. It's one thing to talk for like an hour or two. It's a different thing to talk for like 8 to 12 hours straight. Which is something I always keep forgetting whenever we do a longer stream. Because I'm definitely not used to it. Because the average amount I talk on a given day is the total amount I talk during the Gems of War stream. My average day, if we did not do a Gems of War stream, I'd probably say like 10 words or less. It's not used to talking for 8 to 12 hours straight. Though, in all fairness, I don't think anyone really is. Let's see. Yeah, we did hydrate pretty well the other stream. It's kind of funny because they kept bringing up tea, and we kept drinking tea every single time they brought up tea. I think tea was brought up like 3 times in the storyline so far. And every single time we were drinking tea. Not hot tea specifically, but just tea in general. Yeah, I'm gonna make some hot tea with dinner later. I haven't actually eaten dinner yet. But I will after the stream. It's kind of like last night, except last night I didn't have as much rest. Compared to now, where I have slightly more rest. Sleep schedule's still been weird all week, though. A lot of 9 to 5 jobs require a lot of talking. I've never had a, like, normal job where I actually had to talk much, luckily. Because when it came to flea marketing, well, yes, you were basically selling things to people. The amount of talking was pretty minimal, surprisingly. Like, you might have to, like, talk some, obviously, with prices, trying to encourage them to get something, explaining something. But, you know, there's a lot of downtime where you're not talking for, like, 5, 10, 15 minutes straight sometimes. Where you're just simply just waiting. Menacingly. But, I don't know, what else? Honestly, I've not had a single job other than this YouTube channel where I've needed to, like, talk at all. Because the flea marketing probably required the most amount of talking. Even that wasn't too bad. Like, out of an hour, you probably only had to talk for, like, 15 minutes of that hour, spread across that hour. Because everything else I had prior, like, you know, working in the back end of a kitchen, like, you barely ever had to talk for that. Unless you're, like, calling out the orders and everything, but otherwise you barely ever have to talk for that. There was, gosh, I can't remember everything I've done. Oh, yeah, the other one, when I was working for the green energy company, that was literally no talking at all. I was almost like a secretary at that point. It's kind of like a secretary. Almost a digital secretary at that point. It's hard to even explain what that job was. Bit of a weird one. It was fun, though. It was just basically stuff I was already doing in school, but I was being paid for it. So it was like the first time where I was like, oh, I could just get paid for this kind of stuff. Because in school, you do it for years for, like, no money at all. And then you magically have a job that's similar to it, and it's like, wait, you get money for this? So that was kind of cool. It was almost like the equivalence of, like, homework assignments, except you got money for them, which is kind of convenient. It was mostly just, like, Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. Let's see. I'll throw that down. I should try to get a job at Wendy's. It actually is pretty close. They always have a hiring sign. Honestly, the turnover rate, I mentioned this a couple of times, but the turnover rate for fast food places in my area is absolutely insane. I'm not sure if it's like that everywhere, and that's just the culture now. But there is not a single fast food place near me not trying to, like, perpetually hire every second of every year. Like, they're just in a perpetual state of not having enough people working for them. In the last several years. Even pre-pandemic. Especially post-pandemic, though. Same turnover rate of fast food? Yeah, I think it's just a fast food thing than an area thing. Like, I'm pretty sure the average retention time is 3 weeks. That's not even an exaggeration. I'm pretty sure that is the actual retention time of an average fast food worker. Just because of how bad the pay condition combination is. Because the minimum wage in this area is $7.25. And while that has gone up as far as what people actually pay, they can still get away with literally giving you $7.25 an hour. It is that low in this area. It's never been updated. Like, obviously, some states have. I'm in one of those states that hasn't. Because it's still going over the countrywide mandated one. And that one's still at $7.25. That is actually probably one thing that would make me get, like, a part-time, like, standard job. If the minimum wage across the entire United States ever was forced to go to 15, I would probably have to due to how much inflation would hit my area. Because the minimum wage would more than double within however long of a period they'd be rolling out whatever program they're doing for that. If they ever, like, force the entire country to go to 15 plus per hour. Well, some are slowly moving to that in that area. It's still not mandated by any means. So a lot of entry-level jobs can still literally pay you $7.25. Actually, if you work for tips, it's even lower than that, too. In this area. Because they only have to pay out, like, $3 unless your tips don't cover the rest. So, yes, you're still making $7.25, but they don't even have to pay out that $7.25. You only have to pay out like a few of the bucks if you're getting tips through the other means. I still don't understand how we have a tipping system, though. How has that not been, like, abolished yet? It's such a weird premise. And I'm pretty sure it's, like, almost only in the United States. Like, obviously you could tip everywhere. But I feel like it's only in the United States where it's, like, such a, like, requirement to tip. Otherwise, the person is making, like, nothing. Or near nothing. Speaking of which, hello, Nader, and thank you for the tip, by the way. Greatly appreciate it. For the continued support. Speaking of tips, does help out a lot. Let's see. What do we need here? We'll go for Explosion. Hey, that thing needs to die. There we go. Grab a little bit of mana. Where's my blue headband? What, from the previous stream? I don't have a blue headband to go with it. That would have been kind of funny to have, though. I just don't own a blue headband. I might own a blue bandana somewhere in this house. Where that might be, I have no clue. But I'm willing to make a bet. If I spend enough time rummaging through this entire house, there's a blue bandana somewheres here. That's not worth trying to find. I can search for like 2 hours and might not even find it. But I'm pretty sure there's a random blue bandana, bandana somewheres in this house. It's a banana. There are bananas in this house, so they're not blue. They're like a brownish color because they're starting to date a little bit because I haven't been eating them. Oh no, I get in 2 moods when it comes to banana. Banana eating mood and don't want to touch banana mood. And there's pretty much nothing in between. There are some times when I just like mass consume bananas where I'm eating like entire bushels of them or whatever they're called. Whatever the vine of like several bananas is called. And then there's other times where I'll eat one in like a month period. And the problem is there isn't really a good way to buy like a singular banana. Normally when you're buying bananas, you know, you're buying them in like bulks of a couple at least. I know by me, you can't really like necessarily buy like a singular banana. Like I guess you could if you weigh it on the scale and then get the weight of it and everything. But the amount of effort it would take to buy a singular banana compared to a bushel of banana is way beyond the extra you would pay for the extra bananas. So it's just not really worth it. It's just too much effort compared to just picking the whole bundle off. But yeah, it was funny last stream earlier today because the guy always says jacking in. And obviously it sounds a lot like some other phrase. And you say it a lot. I'm pretty sure I said jacking in like 200 times the previous stream. You could even jack into a squirrel. There are so many wrong sounding things that happen in that game and it is so funny. I'm surprised Lester wasn't there. Lester would have had a field day. I think it was at the start. But he missed so many good ones. It's like he was only around at the start. Like, that game was almost trying to. Also, I checked the reviews on the page of the game. And some of the reviews definitely embraced the wording as well. Like, some of the top few reviews are all mentioning the jack-in mechanic in the game. And how wonderful it is. Let's see. We'll take that one. He lost you at Poopy Elephant Tails. I'm just reading the game. I don't write the dialogue. I'm just here to read it. And play the game. I never said the game had good dialogue. I said it had good gameplay. And it does. Especially once you get later in the game. Because we're starting to get to the point where we can actually build a deck. They're still kind of bottlenecked into a bunch of junk chips that don't really do anything. Because it's basically like a card builder. It's like a card builder and then like a turn-based thing and like a real-time thing. It's still like all 3 cycles. It's pretty fun. Though the deck builder aspect you don't get to do as much as you're progressing through the game as you're just a lot more limited in what you have access to. Not pretty much every card builder's like that, obviously. You don't have as many, you can't build as much. And once you have more, you can build a bunch of stuff, like Gems of War. Like, the first, like, 1 month of Gems of War, you have, like, no options. But then after that, you have, like, more options than you could ever know what to build for. Because there's, like, 1,200-something troops in the game right now. It went past your bedtime. Yeah, it will be at a pretty weird time for some time zones. We're going to be doing it at a somewhat similar time next tomorrow. We're going to go from like 8 to 7 probably. Or maybe even shorter than that. I assume we could finish it within that time. It's about a 20-hour long game, and I believe we're about 6/10 the way through after 10 hours, so we should be able to finish it next stream tomorrow. If we do Sunday, we might not be streaming anything. Might just be a day to rest, because gosh, I'll need to rest my voice at that point. And then we'll like continue the series at like Tuesday or something. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe tackle on the 4th game. Because I feel like the 4th game will take 3 streams rather than 2. Because I think the game's closer to 30 hours rather than 20-ish. Oh, yeah, there was a lot of snakes. I didn't even realize how broken that mechanic was. There's basically a mechanic that, like... There's essentially a hole mechanic in the game where you can crack a bunch of holes and then break them open. And then snakes come out of those holes. And they home onto any unit. So it was very effective for, like, insta-killing bosses. Because you could just get a bunch of snakes from the holes, and then they go penetrate the boss, regardless of where they are. And, yeah, it worked out pretty well. Although a lot of phrasing in that game does not sound well. The average of phrasing in that game sounds very sexual. And I never realized that as a kid. But now that I'm, like, playing the game later, it's like, gosh, this game is so sexual. Were they trying to? Because I never noticed that. I would have been, like, 7 years old when I first played the game. And 8 by the time I finished playing the game, because I know for sure it took me longer than 20 hours, that's for sure. Especially without the internet for guides. I have already need to reference the internet, like, 4 times during the playthrough. Because this was before the game, this was before games kind of, like, gave you a general direction of where you need to go and everything. Back when games were, like, a nightmare to try to figure out if you don't read, like, one single line in an NPC's dialogue that they never repeat again. And that was before the age of the internet, so, you know, if you didn't read that one singular line that only appears once, you're kind of out of luck. And, yeah, there's a lot of that in that game. Mostly because of how dated the game it is, because it came out in 2002. Also, they had a shrinking mechanic, and it kind of reminded me, there was a lot of shrinking mechanics in that game. Because that was the year Mario Party 4 ended up coming out. Gosh, I have so many fond memories of Mario Party 4 as well. But, that was like the year of shrinking mechanics. I'm not sure why, but like every game in 2002 had a shrinking mechanic in it. Are those games made by Capcom? Yes, it's a Capcom game. I hope they make another one. They have not released another Mega Man Battle Network game since 2005 or 2006. I can't remember which, but one of the two. It has been that long. And obviously what they just released is basically just a, you know, glorified re-release in a sense. Rather than a new game. I think they added like a few content for some of the later games. And obviously they did a little bit of visual overhauling. And stuff like that. Because the graphics would look really dated otherwise. Because they upscaled it and everything. Because the game was originally played on a Game Boy Advance. We're talking about like a few inch by few inch screen. And we're playing it pretty much on full screen on PC. So obviously they had to upscale it a bit. When are we starting Monster Hunter? I really want to get around to Monster Hunter at some point. And I was considering it around the time they added did Monster Hunter Rise and everything. And I just never got around to it. I don't know, maybe I will at some point. It seems like a series I would like a lot, but I've never tried. I don't know, what's the best one game in the Monster Hunter series if we were to try? Or should I just go with the most recent one and do Monster Hunter Rise? And just wait till they do like the next mega sale, because I'm pretty sure they sell that game for like 20 bucks these days. There's no way that game isn't like nearly free at this point. It's one of those games that goes down in value very rapidly. Oh yeah, Mega Man Battle Network has a pretty good game. A lot of really nostalgic ones too. Like every single time a song in a new area plays, it's like, oh, I remember that from like 2 decades ago. That's something RuneScape does really well as well. if you played RuneScape back in the day, there are so many songs that are just ultra ridiculously nostalgic. And honestly, Mega Man Battle Network series is pretty good for that too. Because they're songs that you normally wouldn't remember, but the second you hear them, it's like, oh, there it is. I remember that. All of the memories. They are back. But until you hear it again, you have like literally no recollection that it exists. Hey, we got 69,000. There we go. Hit the funny number. Oh, yeah, we'll hand out a redeem code soon. We'll probably do it when we hit like 120-ish. We should be pretty soon. It's like 10 more fights. Or did I say 10? I mean, no, 10. That actually was correct. I forgot. These later battles go like so quick for points. Yeah, once we hit about the halfway point, we'll hand out a code. And then probably switch into all the other dailies. And probably tomorrow night we should be able to finish up Bounty Hunter. I like spreading it out a little rather than doing it all in one day. It's pretty easy to do it all in one day if you really wanted to, though. It's definitely gotten easier over time. As stats gotten higher, Bounty Hunter has not gotten any harder. Which is interesting about a couple modes in Gems of War, as there are several that just keep getting easier and easier. Like Bounty Hunter, when it first released, was considered one of the harder pieces of content in the game. Nowadays, you'll literally just go 4 Bounty Hunter troops. Like back in the day, you couldn't even use 4 Bounty troops. The scaling of Bounty Hunter just didn't really allow you. It was way too slow. To the point where you basically had to run 3 with like a damaging option. It was just way... Oh gosh, 1 HP. But it was way too slow to bother doing it with just 4 Bounty troops. And nowadays, it's like super quick. You just wipe them all out in no time. How many total points do you need for Bounty Hunter? You need 250,000 points to get all of Bounty Hunter completed. This will give you all rewards. So it's relatively low. I believe the average completion time is about an hour and a half, give or take a little bit. Doesn't take that long at all. I think we're almost already halfway there, and we've been going for not even 30 minutes. Like, you can do it in under an hour if you click quick enough. Realistically, it's closer to like an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. Or 3 hours if you're way earlier in the game. I'm pretty sure with your stats, closer to 2-ish or 1.5. Yeah, generally you buy... It depends how many gems you want to do. You could just do the free battles if you want to. You still get a lot of loot. The main full completion is buying to tier 5 and then use a blue orb. Alternatively, you could buy to tier 4 and use 2 blue orbs, but you'll have to wait until Sunday to have enough battles. And also, you only have like 1 or 2 Val Ravens of leeway. So if you end up losing them, you have to then buy another tier. But sometimes it's better to just invest the blue orbs for if you want to go down that route, because blue orbs have like so little value compared to gems these days. The value of a blue orb has definitely gone down in time. Like at one point, I would have valued a blue orb as high as like 500 gems. In the current state of the game, I would say the average blue orb value is like 100, maybe 200 at best. Its value has definitely gone down due to the lack of usefulness of power orbs. Which might seem like a weird comparison that would make it go down, but it's mostly because they're converted into it ultimately when you have excess of them. And the best value you can really get from them is when you use 1 or 2 during bounty hunter events. And actually, that's quite literally the highest value you can get from them. Because the one we used today saved us 400 gems. And if we used 2, it would have saved 700 gems. One saving 400, one saving 300. Which is the highest amount of savings you can ever get from a blue orb. Is once every several weeks during a bounty event. Which back when there wasn't as many blue orbs in the game, that kind of dictated what the blue orb value was. But nowadays it is way easier to get orbs compared to back then. Substantially easier. Mostly due to Nomopalooza's buffing it like crazy. Being the main corporate of such. We'll find out the code soon. You got tier 5? Oh yeah, that's way more than enough. That's how many we did. And I think that gives us enough battles that if we wanted to complete it tonight, we technically could. But we'll be waiting till tomorrow, though. I'll catch you later, Tyrion. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Oh, your wife is having a birthday. Oh, I hope she has a good birthday. Nice. And my mom's birthday is actually coming out around the corner. Actually, May 2nd. So like 3 weeks from now. Still don't have any plans for it. Probably should. I'm always the last minute at planning stuff like that. I sing for her? I don't think I can with my voice today, to be honest. Also, I think Tyrion already left. Because I didn't notice it until slightly after. A comment mentioning it. But I think I legitimately do not have the voice to do so today or tomorrow. By Sunday, I probably will. Oh, whisper it? ASMR happy birthday. With how my mic is balanced, if I whisper too low, I'm not even sure if voice will even come through. Like, can you hear me right now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me talking? Could you hear me whisper? Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. We are currently streaming Gems of War. Can you hear me whisper into the microphone? I'm not sure if it's picking up. Hello, everyone. And welcome to the ASMR version of Gems of War. I'm pretty sure the volume of the game is higher than my voice. Anyways. We need to rebalance the mic to do that properly. And I'm not sure how, because I'm not even sure how to set up a mic for ASMR. I know whatever it's currently set at is very much not the settings you should have it at for doing such an activity. What a sexy voice. Thank you, Marcelo. See, Marcelo knows. We'll need to have an ASMR only channel. Can you imagine? Don't some of those do absurdly successful? I have never watched any ASMR related channel. But isn't it like one of those genres that's like super cracked if you get into it? It's kind of like the mukbang kind of channels. Where like, there are two types. Ones that have no views and ones that somehow have like ultra millions. That are incomprehensibly high for no reason. And pretty much nothing in between. And I feel like SMR is similar. It's just one of those weird kind of genres. Because gaming is one of those genres where there's like a really wide range in content that can be made. But ASMR and things like that, they're a lot more like super focused because there's not too much you can do with that. There's like a few like really direct paths that you can end up going down. A lot less ways to diversify. I read a book while having Rice Crisps popping in the background. Honestly, that is an activity I would hate to have to do for one of my kids. Having to read them a book. Not because I necessarily hate reading, which I do. Mostly because my eyesight's just bad for it and it fatigues too early. But gosh, the amount of, like, talking you would have to do to effectively read an entire multi-chapter book of multiple hundreds of pages is so absurdly high. Like, I don't think I've ever read aloud an entire novel before. Because why would you? Like, unless you're doing, like, an ebook for your own book or something. Like, making up your own ebook to save money, rather than hiring the hundreds it would take to get someone to do it. Like, under what circumstance would you ever, word to word, cover to cover, read an entire book aloud? Under any other circumstance. Yeah, honestly, by the time I have kids, there'll be, like, something even beyond what ebooks are. Like, something we can't even comprehend. That, like, renders the words into your brain. Like, you don't even need to listen to the words. It just simply, like, processes it into your brainwaves, and you just comprehend the words that are happening. Kind of like what some people do when they have, like, audio when they sleep. But even, like, a more direct way. We'll have a way to, like, literally have it just go straight into your brain. You can comprehend, like, a 1,000-page book within, like, 10 minutes. Like, that technology will eventually exist. We don't have it yet. We're getting there slowly. But it will eventually exist. It sounds like what happens in WALL-E for the humans. Oh gosh, I have not seen WALL-E in such a long time. Did they ever make a sequel to that? Because I don't think they ever did. And honestly, based on how bad The Incredibles 2 was, I hope they never do, now that I think about it. But honestly, WALL-E was one of those few gems that Pixar ever made. I feel like they've gone super downhill in recent years. But it's one of, like, the best things that has ever happened to animation in all of time. Like, it's within the top 10. Maybe, like, the middle of the top 10. But it's in the top 10 of the best things to ever happen to animation. Gosh, that was a while ago. It wasn't only like 2004. Speaking of things from the early 2000s. I feel like all day I've just been talking about stuff from early 2000s. Because the game we were playing earlier was from 2002. But wasn't WALL-E from like 2004, I want to say? 2008. Okay, that's a little bit later than I was expecting. But it's still pretty early. Where's WALL-E? That's funny. So where's Waldo? Yeah, Disney owns Pixar now. They've definitely gone downhill since that accusation. Or acquisition. Words. You know what I mean. They've done some good things since then, though. But I do feel like ever since they've been owned by Disney, they have gone a little downhill. And in recent years, extremely downhill. Speaking of which, how was the Mario movie, by the way? I know a couple of you have seen it. Because someone in chat mentioned it. But have any of you actually seen it? Because I've been considering to go see it. I just haven't had the time. Nor the will to go to movie theaters in the last few years. That wasn't made by Disney or even DreamWorks. It was actually made by Universal, if I'm not mistaken. You're watching it tomorrow? Nice. Let me know how it is. I still plan to at some point. I just haven't been able to. Because the last good thing DreamWorks did was Puss in Boots by far. And the thing before that was the How to Train Your Dragon series. Most notably the first one, but second and third. And third would have been the most recent. You know, they were good. Not as good as the first, though. So that was like DreamWorks' last thing was Puss in Boots. Universal's last thing was, as far as what was actually good. Well, technically also Chronological was their last thing. But yeah, the last good thing DreamWorks ever did was Puss in Boots. The last good thing Universal ever did was, assumably, the Mario movie. I would highly doubt that wasn't a banger, with how much effort went into that over years. And as well as the budget. I'm pretty sure that movie had an insane budget compared to the average animated film. And what's the last thing Pixar has done, though? Like, what was the last good Pixar movie? As well as Disney. Because they are technically two separate entities, even though Pixar's kind of owned by them now. Because I can't recall. Like, I can recall some recent Disney movies, but I can't recall decent, good Disney movies. Because there is a difference. DreamWorks, or Shrek is DreamWorks' best animation. I'm not sure. I would have to say the best three things from DreamWorks are honestly all things that are not Shrek. At least in my personal opinion. Actually, there's a couple of them. The best things DreamWorks has ever done was How to Train Your Dragon series, particularly the first one, but the second and third were still good. But the first one, they absolutely banged out of the park, which is why they even had sequels to begin with. But How to Train Your Dragon 1, insane. Kung Fu Panda 2, because they do really good villains. Megamind was pretty high up there. What other good things have they done? Puss in Boots 2, not the first one. The first one was awful. The second one, insanely good. It was probably one of the biggest comebacks I've ever seen from a sequel. As far as how bad the first one was compared to how absurdly over the top the next one is. It might be like the best sequel in animation history. Like Kung Fu Panda 1, it was good. Kung Fu Panda 2 was definitely better. But it was a small margin. Like, yes, you could like both of them. But 2 was like slightly better. But the difference between like Puss in Boots 1 and 2 is like night and day. Like the first one, they weren't even trying. They were just trying to cash grab on like the series. And then the second one, they were like, okay, we're just going to put a budget on it and see what happens. And then boom, it does amazing. Because they had a really cool art style for it. One of the core ones in a while that I've seen. So there's been a couple animated things that have been doing that recently. Like I think the Spider-Verse movie was kind of the first one that kind of started that animation style. Where it's almost like half comic booky. Like it basically like drops frames deliberately. So it has like a more artistic style rather than animating like every single thing out. And it works really well. And Puss in Boots is one of the more recent movies that does that. There's a third Puss in Boots. Wait, is there? I could have sworn the most recent one was the second one. Wasn't it? If you count the main movies? Because there's Puss in Boots 1, which is the one mostly focused on the egg guy. And the bird and all that. I could have sworn the one that just came out was Puss in Boots 2. Which was the one focused on, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm not sure how to say it without spoiling some of the things. It was basically focused on like the whole 9 lives mechanic thing that cats have. And does so very, very well. Oh wait, why'd I cast that? That was not the right one. There we go. Oh, we'll throw that one down. Oh yeah, I never did see Coco. Though the more recent Toy Stories weren't really that good. I think the last good Toy Story was Toy Story 3, right? Because Toy Story 4 was horrible. And I don't think Toy Story 5 has come out yet. It's planned to, but I don't think it has. Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, all good. Toy Story 4, one of the worst things Pixar ever did. Maybe not the worst. But, lower... It would make the top 5 for worst Pixar films, I think. Like, probably the 4th or 5th, not like the absolute worst. But, I don't know. It just felt weird because it was basically a concluded series. It seemed like they would never do anything more to it because, you know, they kind of finished everything they needed to. And then they're like, oh, we need more money. Let's go reboot it. And then they ended it in such a weird way that's going to make 5 be so convoluted. Because basically 3 concluded everything. And then 4 tried to expand it, but then also kind of concluded things. And then they're going to do a 5th one, where they're basically a double concluded series that is going to try to do its own thing again. I have no clue what they're doing with that. Although apparently it's coming out in the next few years. I don't remember when. You'll know when you see a billion ads for it, because they probably have like $1 billion to throw at it. Not literally, but you know. You definitely have more money than they know what to do with as far as advertising budget. So you will know when Toy Story 5 is coming. It might not be good, but you will know it's coming. There will be ads everywhere. But I never did see Coco. I've heard that's a really good movie. That one Coco Pixar movie. And it might actually be the most recent last good Pixar movie. Which is kind of bad if so, because didn't Coco come out in like 2015 or something? It's almost a decade. I feel like there wasn't that much good animation from like 2015 to current date. Like there are a few exceptions within there. But I feel like that was around the time animation had like a time of going downhill, but it's starting to make a comeback recently. Because I really like animated films. It's just there's a good difference between an animated film and a good animated film. As is there is a difference between a good movie and a not good movie. There's a lot of animated films lately because there's not as many animated compared to non-animated. So if there's like a long bad streak of films, it just feels like forever until there's actually a good one again. Turning Red was really good. I actually have not seen Turning Red, so I don't have an opinion in any direction on it. It didn't seem enticing enough to me to bother with. Who even made Turning Red? I want to say it was... Wait, was that Universal? I want to say it was Universal. Wait, who did Turning... No, it was Disney, probably. But no, that was just one that didn't really seem that appealing. So I never bothered seeing it. It might have been a good movie, though. It just everything I saw for it made it seem kind of average. Okay, it was Pixar. It was a box office disaster. That's why. Like, I don't understand the appeal of that movie, so I never gave it a chance. And apparently that was the case for a lot of people, if it didn't do that well in the box office. Because it was one of those movies that seemed like it didn't need to exist. It was more so made to be made. And it could have been made really well. I just didn't really understand, based on the advertising, what like the target demographic necessarily was. I know it wasn't me. Onward was pretty good too. Oh yeah, didn't that movie also kind of fail at the box office, but it was actually really good, but it just didn't have a good enough advertising budget or something? Because I recall hearing that word before. But only after the fact. Like, I found out that movie existed after it was out of theaters. Let's see. We'll take that one over. Oh, so there was technically some Puss in Boots thing in between. Though TV series don't count. Wait, what was the Three Diablos video? Wasn't that just like a spin-off kind of series? Because companies like that do that pretty often. Where they'll do like a, almost like a... I almost want to say they're kind of like a pseudo-pilot video to test if they should do an animated series, and then later they do an animated series, which based on that timeline sounds exactly what they did. Yeah, that's something that happens actually decently commonly in animation, or I feel so anyways, where like they'll either bundle it with a DVD or something similar to give more enticing reason to get it in the first place. But basically they'll do what is essentially like a 20-minute kind of like not like a movie, but you know, like almost like an episode of a TV show, but there's no TV show attached to it. They kind of just throw down a episode. And, you know, if it does really well, it's like, oh, maybe we should make a TV series out of it. They kind of like test the waters with it. And that's generally what those are, assuming that's what that is. And based on those timelines, I would assume so, if there was a TV series 3 years after. Like, they generally do that a lot to test the water of if they should release a TV series on something. Like, before they throw down an entire budget on a TV series, just to kind of see how it would go. So they almost like do a test episode in a sense. That isn't necessarily a pilot video, but you know, kind of just to test the waters, see how it does, see how production goes on it. What do we need to do here? Like a brown over there. You have a 9-year-old that has watched all the Pixar movies a minimum of 267 times? Oh, gosh. I think the most I've ever watched one movie was probably, like, 5 times. Tell them to watch it 2 more times each. No, do not get to 69. Also, I just realized I haven't been paying attention. We're almost done with Bounty Hunter. I think this will be our last battle for now, then we'll clear out the other dailies. So if we do one more battle, we'll hand out code, and then we'll clear out everything else. I didn't even realize it's been autopiloting the entirety of Bounty Hunter. I do that so often in Gems of War. This game has been out for almost a decade now, and obviously we've been playing it pretty much every day since then for an entire decade. And in doing so, I can like so autopilot on this game. I'm not even realizing I'm playing the game sometimes. My hand's just doing the motions. It just knows where to click. What movie did you watch 5 times? There's a couple. Definitely How to Train Your Dragon 1. I might have seen it slightly more than 5 times. Because I know I saw it once with friends, once with family, once when it came out on DVD, probably again with friends when it came out on DVD. I want to say there was another time somewhere's in there. I think there might have been one other movie. I'm trying to think what it might have been. I know I saw Bug's Life a couple times when I was younger. Because it was on a couple times on TV. Spirited Away, I think I've seen like 4 or 5 times. I remember when it aired on Cartoon Network, they got the rights exclusivity to like air it on American TV, and they ended up doing so, and it was so good. It was actually the first time I saw it. It would have been what, early 2000s? But honestly, I think Spirited Away to this day is still one of the best animated movies of all time. Like, it's definitely top 5. Maybe not the absolute best, but it's really high up there. Especially for the time. Like, if you compare it to the era of the time, it is, like, way above. Like, you compare it to now, like, maybe it's a little bit lower. But if you compare it to when it came out, it was so absurdly good. I would also say it's probably the best Studio Ghibli film. And it's not because it's the first one I've seen. It's one of those that is just among one of the better ones that they've ever made. Yeah, Studio Ghibli has done a lot of good stuff. But I would say Spirited Away is their absolute peak. Not that they really fell off. They honestly were at their peak their entire time. But the peak of their peak. Like, honestly, none of their films really ever missed. They were just different degrees of good. Also, I said I would stop after one more. We were like 5 battles later. This will be truly the last one for now. I'll go clear out all the dailies and everything and hand out a code. Oh, you know what other movie I've seen quite a few times? Caroline. I would say Caroline is probably the best animated, best stop-motion animated film ever released. Though it doesn't have much competition, because honestly, there's not that many in that genre. However, I would say it is probably the best. Like, storyline-wise, art direction-wise, everything else. And I've seen a couple of movies that they've done later. Like that one, Swordmaster one, I can't remember. It begins with a K. It uses a lot of weird words. But, like, that one was good. But, I don't know. Caroline, like, absolutely hit it out of the park. Like, you don't even know you're watching a stop-motion film a lot of the time. Whereas I felt like in that other one that they end up doing, like, there were some times where it's like, oh, that's kind of obvious that it is. Like, it was still good overall. But they were doing such ambitious stuff with some things that it was really noticeable that was stop-motion at some points. Even though it was really smooth. There's just some things that stop motion just can't really do in current year. Especially when they did that like 10, 15 years ago when they made that movie. I wonder if stop motion ever will make a comeback. I highly doubt it. I feel like one of the biggest appeals of a smaller studio doing stop motion is if they bang it out of the park, they can literally go resell everything from the movie for thousands. Which can recuperate a lot of the costs. But the movie itself would have to be good in the first place to do that. Because that's something that you can't really do with a set of a movie. Like, you can't really, like, resell a chair from a movie or something like that that was used on, like, a movie set. Even if it was, like, something custom. Like, let's say the Game of Thrones chair. Well, I guess something like that you could. That's an exception, but you know. But when it comes to, like, stop motion, like, you could sell, like, literally every single one of those characters out if you never plan on making another movie again or make them from scratch again when you do. And you could just make millions from that on top of whatever you make at the box office. Selling out just all the assets you use for the movie. In like an auction style kind of thing. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. The Karo movie or whatever it's called. I know it had a K word in it. It has many words I cannot pronounce. I remember seeing that in theaters. It was pretty good. But it did have many moments that you knew it was stop motion. Like when I first saw Caroline, though it could have been my age too, but even when I watched it later on, like it does not look like stop motion when you're viewing it. But there are some moments in the Karo movie or whatever it's called that they really need to do a different name for that movie. I'm pretty sure that movie did not perform as well, partially due to that name. Like who on earth remembers that name? It is such a hard word to remember. Because normally you want like anything ever to be named something that's easy to spread and remember. But gosh, that is not a word that is particularly easy to do so with. Like they did a lot of traditional stuff with it. So that's probably why they went with the name. But gosh, it definitely does not flow off the tongue. There's a lot of weird design choices they did for that movie. They're still good though. But it was not as good as Caroline, unfortunately. It's made from the same studio, I believe, too. It was a really impressive movie, though. They did a lot of ambitious stuff with it. Like some of the scenes that they did. Stuff you would never expect to be done in stop motion. But I feel like they were too overly ambitious with that movie. And it didn't really have that good of an advertising budget. I feel like no one saw that movie. Even though it was kind of good. It's just one of those movies that kind of fell through the cracks. And I think that was the last movie they ever produced, too. Because it didn't function good enough, so... I'm not sure what happened to their studio, but... I'm not sure. I don't think they lost money on that movie. But they probably didn't make enough to justify doing it again. Which is unfortunate. Because I'm pretty sure that was the last stop motion movie they ever made. Alright, before I click it one more time, we are done with Bounty Hunter for now. We'll finish the last few tomorrow. Gosh, at this rate, I'm gonna have the whole bounty done in an hour. But keep clicking that button. Okay, let me go get the redeem code for you guys. And then let's go clear out the other dailies before I finish Bounty Hunter. Because I keep clicking there for several more minutes, we're going to be done with it. Let's wait till tomorrow to finish that out. But here you guys go. Here is the redeem code. You guys know the drill by now. Oh, excuse me. There you guys go. Enjoy. Anyways, in other news, let's go finish the dailies before they're gone. Before we just do the whole stream on just Bounty Hunter. Oh no, I almost just clicked on it again. Okay, let's see how we do in dungeons. Instant trap, I'm calling it now. Actually, I am so confident this is a trap, I'm gonna click these two. Ah! Now, place your bets now. Yes or no. And I'll do it based on which one is more. Should we click room 1? There's a 110% chance it's a trap. The problem is, what do we click otherwise? I knew it. I'm gonna still click on it probably because I want top 3. But I'm willing to make a bet right now. There's a 90-point-something% chance this is a trap. Like the likelihood that is a trap right now. Oh wait, I'm also about to add Dragonite. I'm so glad they have a warning menu there. Isle of Dogs. I don't think I've seen that one. Oh, you know what other one I haven't seen the full thing of? Wasn't there a movie called Incredible Mr. Fox or something? I've seen parts of that movie, but I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. I've seen it like in, not in theaters, but it was like on TV occasionally. And, I never actually gotten to see the whole thing from start to finish. Because I believe that one was stop motion. I think that's what it was called. Incredible Mr. Fox or something. Some kind of weird name like that. Okay. I'm gonna click it. I have to know. Because if it's top 3 and I click something else, I will regret it for forever. But you know this is a trap. I'm just literally clicking a trap right now. So let me click the trap. Yep. Okay, between 4, 5, and 6. I see more for 6. Nope, that would have been a trap too. I knew it though. My trap senses were tingling. No, it would have been 4. Gosh, that was a weird pattern. 2, 3, 4. Well, we got 2, 3 correctly. Didn't quite do the other one. Anyways, there we go. I knew it. It was indeed the trap. Anyways, let me go Zolg off it. Oh, wait, are we cursed death marked? How annoying. We were silenced death marked last night. Now we're cursed death marked tonight. Can we stop getting like the worst possible combinations you can be afflicted with? Sorry, it's cursed web. Even worse. Hold up. That's even worse than whatever I just mentioned. I need to go set to cleanse metals. I'm not sure why I'm currently not. Because that's some annoying things to be hit with. I know, it's kind of funny. It quite literally was the spider senses because it was a web trap. I was thinking the same thing, I just didn't mention it aloud. Yeah, the trap we dodged was actually a spider room, or a web room, specifically. Centurion isn't affected by web. Yeah, I was using Centurion there for quite a while. I eventually switched it back to Angry Mob. Because I was getting tired of using Centurion. Whoa, 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 whoa! Did you guys see that? Wow, we got it on stream. That was a 36 tribute! I clicked through it so quickly, though. But you saw it for half a second. Whoa, wait, let me go back. I need to go to, like, almost screenshot in that to stream. That's my highest tribute we've ever gotten. Wait, wait, wait. Let me go, watch. Wait, wait, wait. That's huge. We clicked through it so quickly. But if you freeze frame, we got a 36 tribute! Wait, is that every king? Wait, no, that can't be. We have 38 these days, right? That's the highest tribute I've ever gotten. We hit a 36, as in 35 gems. How many kingdoms are there again these days? 38, right? We were 1 off! No! We were 1 off from a flawless kingdom tribute. I've never done that. That's the highest we've done so far, 36, when there's 37 kingdoms. Oh, that was so close. We were only 1, like 20-ish% roll off of a flawless tribute, which I'm not sure anyone's really gotten. At some point, someone had to have by now, but that is absurdly rare to ever get. Yeah, we got our first ever 36 when there's 37. That is so close. And we have it on video, too. It was only there for half a second, but it was there. If you check the frame it came in on, it was there. Oh, that's pretty cool. And you can also see our gems before and after, too, to have seen that it moved up by 36. Anyways, or it's 35, because we have 36 tribute gives you 35 gems. Anyways, that's cool. Yeah, it was a 36 if you watch on 0.25 speed. Yeah, unfortunately we matched through it at the speed of light, but it was indeed a 36 tribute. It was only up on screen for like half a second though, but it was there. But yeah, that's the highest tribute I've ever gotten, and realistically, that's the highest tribute we're ever getting. In the current state of the game, you need to win the RNG lottery to get one higher than that. As getting a flawless tribute, statistically, is near impossible. I'm not sure what the current odds are on it. All I know is it's a very big decimal that you don't want to look at to comprehend what that number is. Like, the number we just got is technically like 20 times more likely than getting a perfect tribute, and I've only seen it once ever. That is how rare it would be to get a flawless one. We're going to see a 36 tribute realistically like 15 plus more times, if not more, before we see a 37. And by then, we'll probably have another kingdom by then, realistically. Post on the funny Tacit clips. Oh, thank you for that. There we go. But yeah, that's never happening again. The odds of that is already absurd for 1 off of flawless. And the actual odds are flawless are like, you're better off trying to win lottery odds. Because I'm pretty sure the odds of winning the lottery is actually higher than getting a flawless tribute in Gems of War. Like, getting a high tribute in Gems of War, not so much. But getting an absolute flawless one, I am pretty sure the actual lottery is rigged less than that. As far as the odds. Obviously, you still get a lot of gems from tribute, even if you don't get a flawless, obviously. Like, we're averaging like 20-something tributes. So 36 isn't that big a deal comparatively, or 37. but it is very small decimal number. I don't even want to comprehend how to do the math on. You got to take a lot of decimals together. And you get a lot of zeros. Like, if there's enough zeros, you won't know how to say the word. That's when you know a number is too big. If it has enough zeros, when you can't comprehend what word you would use to describe the number you're looking at, is when you know the number is too big of a number or too big of a decimal. Of course, you could always do it to the power, and that makes it a lot easier to say what it is. Because generally you have to for numbers that start getting that big. Because there's no conceivable way to say the word that is the number. Like, it just wouldn't comprehensively make sense to any person who hears the word. Yeah, scientific notation's the easiest way to denote them. With, like, that little to the power sign, and then make it, like, positive, negative. I haven't needed to do that in such a long time. I feel like that's something you do in school that you never need outside of that context. Because, realistically, on a day-to-day basis, you are very rarely ever dealing with a number of that magnitude. For the most part. Like, obviously, if you're ever getting into statistics and odds on things, you will. But for most day-to-day life, you're never going to need a number so big or so small that it needs scientific notation. Generally speaking. Unless you're getting into percent odds. Which is like the one of a few exceptions. It's because of how small or how big the odds can get sometimes. Anyways, what am I doing? I'm looking for... my free Spirit Walker team. There it goes. I need XP on this little guy. You remember when you're happy getting 8 gems? Honestly, I remember when I was happy getting 5 gems. Now, if I don't get 20 plus, I'm disappointed. Because tribute has just skewed so high over time. And honestly, as long as Gems of War never nerfs tribute, I feel like its longevity can go on forever. Because its system that it has around kingdom upgrading in association to tribute and how that connects to the rest of the game is actually a really absurdly good balance for a free-to-play game. It just works. It works really well. Helps keep getting people in every hour for attention numbers, so they can boast those numbers. It helps give people premium currency so they don't have to buy it. Like, I have not specifically bought gems in Gems of War for like 6 years now. Because tribute just covers everything. Obviously, we've gotten gems through some purchases, like when we get like the bigger passes and stuff like that. But never have I specifically bought like just solid gems in Gems of War in the last 6 years. Because tribute just covers everything for the most part. And I like that. Like, it's really optional to have to spend gems. Or buy gems, I mean. It's not optional to spend gems. There's a billion things to constantly keep spending gems on. But it's optional to buy them. There's a lot of ways to just passively get them. I feel like more free-to-play games need to do that. Too many free-to-play games have a premium currency that's just always locked behind money. And no way to ever earn it. And Gems of War doesn't have any. Unless you count purchasing things for direct money as one. But that's not really a sub-currency. That's just simply a money lock thing. Which makes sense. But how they do gems, they're perfectly justified in having that other mechanic. I say when a game brings it to a different currency. Because they do that to make it so it doesn't seem like you're spending as much. So that you have to spend money on the currency and then spend that currency on something that's money locked. Rather than, you know, just spending out the cash. Which is one thing nice about Gems of War. Like, you don't have to buy some sub-currency and then be like, oh, this event requires 150 crowns in order to participate in. Whereas, if you want to go buy, let's say, the next campaign, it's just $10. You don't have to figure out what the currency is. It's just simply $10. Or whatever your regional equivalence is. You don't have to do a bunch of math, figure out what the best bundle currency is or anything. You just simply get a $10 and then boom, you get the pass. Or 25 if you're doing the bigger pass. All right, there we go. Speaking of which, next campaign is delayed 2 weeks, by the way. Okay, I think we've done all the things. Anyways, any other questions, anyone? Otherwise, I think we might be ending it here. Tomorrow, we will be finishing Bounty Hunter tomorrow night. We will be streaming Mega Man Battle Network again. We are hopefully finishing the 3rd game. We're going to be doing it around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, not to be confused with 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, we're going to be starting at a pretty similar time that we did yesterday. Maybe like half an hour later or something. Closer to 8 or so. And my goal for next stream for that is hopefully to finish out the game of the 3rd one. There's still 5 other games, so even if we finish that, there's still a billion more. But I hope to finish that game tomorrow. And that'll be the game plan during the day. Gems of War stream will be at the standard time at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know, standard time. Whereas the other thing will start at 8 a.m. And that's pretty much the game plan. And we'll go from there. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Crowns actually are the mechanic in Puzzle Quest 3. That is kind of funny. It's something I still don't understand. Gems of War does so many good things. And then Puzzle Quest 3 makes like all the mistakes that they should have learned from Gems of War not to have done. It's so weird. Because they basically threw like every microtransaction thing you could possibly do into Puzzle Quest 3. In Gems of War, they actually went about it pretty decently. There's still a few sketchy things in this game that really should not belong. Like, why on earth do shrines exist? Why do we even have a patch that brought shrines in? Does anyone even get these? They are such a waste of money. But, I don't know. There's some things that are just so questionable. Especially with how some of these are scaled in the shop. Like, some of these are just, like, so not worth it money-wise. But then there's other things that are actually, you know, balanced pretty well. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.